welcome to my class. Since yesterday I have already begun about the popular beliefs and then religious debates. We have discussed on Bhakti movements, then followed by Albers and Arners. Then I have already spoken about the differentiation between this Albers and Arners. So you have already sufficiently acquired some extent from this chapter. So let us talk about now Bhakti saints today. So what about this Bhakti saints and which are the areas and which are the people in fact namely we can mention over here. So let us know that as mentioned earlier, Bhakti saints came actually from the different backgrounds. Since we have already learned that some of the Bhakti saints actually came out from the different caste, different backgrounds. Either they are from Brahmanas or they may be from the lower caste, and yet they became the very much connected with this devotion to God. So here their role actually we can find especially we will be talking about their role, and this role particularly actually at this time became very significant. And then it is why significant, because they spread this notion of God, and they made the people connect with the God, and they in a simple language they actually elaborated, and in the form of songs and poem recitation, in fact they actually propagated. These are the areas. So let us know that the Bhakti saints also strongly actually advocated the need for the tolerance among the humans and religions. So some important Bhakti saints have been actually mentioned in this chapter. So let us know first of all about the person called Adi Sankaracharya. Now we have to understand that Adi Sankaracharya in fact is he was born actually in Kaladi. You must remember the birthplace of this Adi Sankaracharya is Kaladi. And Kaladi in fact is in a state of Kerala. So he was the first Hindu saint in fact in Kerala, and then he propagated and he re-examined the Vedic philosophy. Actually, we know that the Vedic as a long back these are the things I have written, but then how far these are the explanation or the simple way of explaining, elaborating. People were very few, and they were not explaining even to the others. But here we can find that Adi Sankaracharya, he comes out and then he actually makes this Vedas actually in a simple language, and then at the young age actually he left home in search of his guru, and it is believed that nearly 2000 kilometers 2000 kilometers actually he walked, and then he traveled in search of his guru, and finally especially the place where he has actually walked, that is about the river Narmada. Okay, that is the place he actually hovering. And Sankaracharya actually spent 4 years in the service of his guru when he found, and he mastered himself in the Vedic scriptures, and as he became the master, he started making this particular Veda to be elaborated, and he made the numerous commentaries, and then he completed his commentaries, and he traveled across the country, and then he started explaining, and he started collecting, he started gathering the many of his disciples. So that is we can find in him. So he also preached Vedic learnings, whatever the things are there, and he also established 4 ashramas of this country India. He established, namely he established the 4 ashrams, which is known as the mathas, okay? Which is also known as the mathas. So let us locate this 4 mathas, which are the areas actually he established. So first is at Dwarka, that is in the western side, and then Badrinath is in the north side, then Sringeri is in the south, and Puri in the east. It means 4 places actually he has established his math, that is the ashrams, and then that actually he elaborates very clearly. Okay? So next person we have talked about, that is Ramanuja. Now this Ramanuja also actually from Tamil Nadu, He was actually born in the year of 1017 Common Era, and then he belonged to a Tamil Brahmana family, in fact, and followed the Vaishnava Vaishnava tradition, and his teachings were actually very simple, and they treated all humans as equals. Now, Ramanuja, in fact, he being a person, he understood that there was a inequality between this men and women, but he considered that everyone, men and women, in front of God, in front of the one who is a powerful, unseen, supreme. Human beings are actually equal. So none of us actually should consider as one particular group will be the stronger. Okay, so that is the thing actually he elaborated. Then we can find that he believed that all human beings could attain salvation through the worship of God. So he believed that. Simple way of he was explaining that one who is believing fully, wholeheartedly, and fully he is dedicated himself, then there is a possibility of attending or attaining the God, and God will really give him the good place. So next person we have got in this chapter is about the Madhavacharya. Now who is this a person, Madhavacharya? Now Madhavacharya actually he also preached this Vedanta philosophy during the medieval period, and he propounded the philosophy of like a Tattvada, okay, Tattvavada, which is known as the Dvaita or the dualistic school of Hindu philosophy. Okay, now he believed that the world was actually a reflection of God, and like Shankaracharya established 8 mathas. So he gave the one concept that the world was a reflection of God. It means today whatever the place, mountain, then a river, forest, or ditches, whatever lake we are watching in our eyes with our open eyes, is not. So these are the actually part of the God's actually creation. So therefore, whatever we see, we have to actually understand that this is the God is existing over here. So that is the thing actually he also put forward for the people. So next person is about Virashaivas. Now who is this Virashaivas? Now the Virashaivas were actually Sabbatais, that is saints, like other bhakti saints, and they were also against the caste system. Now you must remember today, for example, most of this medieval age onwards, you can see that this caste system was actually very strongly actually deep rooted, and it is not that in the modern period how this in the 19th century how this Britishers and then some of the educated Indians in fact tried their level best to remove this caste rigidity that was actually prevailing and destroying the mentality of the people of that time. So those things actually how were actually deep rooted even in the medieval age. It means this caste rigidity in fact was prevailing from the ancient time onwards. So the moment people actually started forming the these groups, and maybe the some other this like a caste how actually started following up. Okay, so originally from India they will not say, like follow up the caste system, but perhaps someone from the abroad, from the foreign country coming to this country and then occupying, and then that is actually superiority want to show, and then they started following up this caste system. Actually, one who is following the caste system or one who implemented the caste system, perhaps that person is not originally from India. So that's why we can see that. Okay, so here complex like rituals that had been actually in a practice for a long time in India. So the Virashaivas actually originated in the state of Karnataka in the 12th century and was founded by Basavana. Basavana. There is women were also welcomed in this Virashaiva sect, and Akka Mahadevi, one of the female Virashaiva saints. It means those who came to this organizations, even the women actually became the saints, and there was a space for everyone else. Okay, so next we have got the another topic called Bhakti Saints of Maharashtra. Now we have talked about this is South India, and now we will be talking about the Maharashtra, which is a part of the a little bit western side of our India. Now, during this medieval period, a large number of actually bhakti saints came up in Maharashtra, and some of the important bhakti saints that came up during this period in Maharashtra included Tukaram. So must remember Tukaram, then Sakkubai, then Eknath, then Namdev, and Jnaneshwar. So these bhakti saints that belong to Maharashtra also came from different backgrounds. Women saints were also present in Maharashtra. Okay, so it is not only the men, but also the female also were found in this state called Maharashtra, and saints were actually quite many here. Then the Bhakti saints of Maharashtra actually preached and sang in a Marathi. It means that is the local language, uh, and they rejected the caste system or the rituals that were actually advocated by the Brahmanical order. So even in Maharashtra also, you can find that most of the this Brahmanas norms rituals are actually rejected. So I feel it is one of the biggest issue in fact in India even today. Most of the areas in fact occupied by the Brahmanas actually in the high position, even in the Supreme Court, even in the executive department, even in the army, general, all these areas. In fact, you can find that maximum areas are nearly, maybe I can say that maybe 80% to 75% maybe. Okay, these Brahmanas are actually occupying those areas. So today, that's why any of the suppose issue is placed in a fort, then these are the justice is not done. But suppose the same class, same caste group, suppose they had got some problem, then immediately those problem will be sorted out. And that's why the government is trying to put everywhere their own people, their own who is in the higher authority today. So, however, uh, this particular group somehow disliked by many of the people today. See, most of the people when they watch or when they hear about it, they dislike, they hate these people. Uh, and the Brahmanas, in fact, they have not understood up to now. Up to now, they have maybe thinking, uh, they they are thinking that they are still dominant group, but that is actually the possibility is there for them to be behavior or to behave that way because they are in the higher position, higher authority, and all the ministers, MLA, MLCs are all actually associating with them. All the police and all the DG and SP, all these people are in fact a part of that. So that's why you can understand the country's situation is very bad sometimes. But this will not be last longer when people will understand about this. Their what called their ways of functioning. It means they are actually they are following the Vedantic way of actually they are the that category people only. So they don't consider or they Brahmanas in fact are not at all or they are not supposed to worship idol or any like a puja and all somewhere like that. They're not supposed to worship idols especially. It is against them. But I don't know how they are actually very tricky people. However, so anyway, the Bhakti saints of Maharashtra preached and sang in a Marathi, which was actually local language. Okay, and here the caste system was actually rejected, and then whatever the Brahmanas actually put forward for these people, they rejected all this, and then they gave the importance on the like songs and a bhajan and a poem recitation on the god and goddesses. So they chose to live the life of a householder and earn a living like everyone else. These Bhakti saints actually worship a form of Lord Vishnu, the Bitahala or Bithala. Okay, so remember this one. So here the new religious movements that actually came up during the medieval period suggested a simple life and a empathy towards other human beings. What steps can be taken to lead a simple life in the technological era of today? Now we have the question. So also mention two acts of kindness that you as a children can show towards other people. So these are the questions. Please put your mind and then find out the answers and then you think of the better solution. Okay, so many other saints throughout India, such as like a Narsinha Mehta, that is in Gujarat, then Vallabhacharya, that is in Brindaban, then Dadu Dayal, that is in Ahmedabad, played a key role in spreading the Bhakti movement. So, in spreading the Bhakti movement, these are the areas actually they focus more. These are the people, in fact, they give the more important. So let us know now about the religious developments in North India. Now, some of the well-known saints who actually propagated, preached, okay, the Bhakti movement in North India included Chaitanya, Sant Ramananda, then Tulsidas, Mirabai, Kabir. Okay, these are the few names that is actually mentioned here. So let us know about Ramananda. Ramananda was actually the first saint to preach in Hindi. Since it is North India, so therefore in Tamil and Telugu you can't preach here, and people will not understand. People will find difficult because in North India, Hindi speaking, and then also you can see Bangla speaking. All these things are actually available here. So here, this particular person is actually taught in Hindi. So he lived in a Benares and was a devotee of Lord Rama. And Ramananda's disciples belonged to different caste. His most famous disciples were Kabir and Ravidas. So no caste rigidity, no caste system actually they practice. Next we have the Ravidas. Now who is this person? Ravidas was a poor cobbler. A person who is a cobbler, maybe in the Brahman Samaj. You can see that a cobbler can't have even to enter in the place of the this temple or place of the meeting or place of the festival of this Brahmanas. So cobbler, sweeper, all these people are Mali, farmers, peasants are in fact actually deprived of the places where Brahmanas are actually doing everything. So therefore, Ravidas was a cobbler, being or in spite of having, in spite of he is a cobbler, actually he did a great job there. So who lived in near Banaras, and he composed many hymns in praise of God, and slowly he became known for his hymns and devotion to God. And many people started taking his advice. According to Ravidas, God is present everywhere. So he is saying that God is present everywhere. So not only God is present in the temple, as many of us may consider that a God or Allah or Jesus Christ is maybe found only in the church, in the temple, in the masjid, but mosque cannot. But it is he is according to his idea of concept of God is God is found in everywhere. It means he is present everywhere. So that is the thing he actually preached. So his teachings actually suggested once karma defined an individual's status. Today, for example, I will be getting the result because that I have did my this activity that was actually all through my life, that was what I have done. So the outcome will be my suffering. So that is the actually he has mentioned. Next he says Chaitanya. Who is this person, Chaitanya? Now Chaitanya was born in Bengal. He spread the Bhakti movement in Bengal, Assam and Orissa. Since childhood, Chaitanya was a devotee of Lord Krishna. He was a devotee of Lord Krishna, and his followers included Muslims as well as Hindus. So it's not that only the Hindus were actually the followers, but his followers were actually even Muslims were also there. And he also had a large following from the lower classes, and the practice of kirtana you must know, where people actually would gather and sing devotional songs, was started by Chaitanya. So Chaitanya was actually the person who started this particular movement, especially together he actually sang and he did the things. Okay, so in my next video I will talk about the Tulsidas and many other women saints. Okay, so thank you.